what can I say about our next guest? Musician, DJ, entrepreneur, policymaker, music industry executive. He's managed some of your favourite bands. He's the founder of Creation Records, the man who discovered Oasis, and he's now got his very own music festival. Welcome to the show, Alan McGee. Hello, Alan.
How you doing, man?
Oh, great, thank you, and thank you so much for joining us. It's a real pleasure to have you on the show. We've played so much of your music over the years.
Thank you.
Biff Bang Pow by the television personalities. A song originally by The Creation, which I believe was the band you named Creation Records after.
Yeah. And I actually signed The Creation as well. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah, I signed them. What year did I sign them? I think I signed them. Yeah, I signed them in about '93 for Creation 200, and I made an album, and it took a few years to come about. But I did sign them, and that was a good story. But I don't know how long we've got. You know,
we've got as long as you want, mate.
Well, I signed them. And then they famously don't get on. So I was quite young at the time. I was about when I signed them, I was about 32, and they were all guys like me now. You know, they were late 50s. I'm 60 now. Anyway, they'd reformed the band, and I'd signed them, and then they're sitting in this room, and there was a publishing dispute. So they brought me in to referee the argument. And then there's these two old guys. It's the bass player and the drummer, right? Kenny Pickett, the singer, wasn't around at that point. He went on. I think he died after that, right, pretty soon after that. But anyway, the bass player and the drummer are in the room. Eddie Phelps is kind of the genius of the band, the guy that did the action painting and with the bow and all that sort of stuff, right? And they're shouting at him going, "You didn't care for this band in 1966, that you broke the band up, and then now we've reformed the band. You care more about your grandchildren than you do about this band." And he's looking at me going, "Of course I do, you know." And I was trying to navigate it, and it got really frogs tapes. Do you know what I mean? You know, and eventually I had to give the bass player and the drummer their own publishing deal to quell the impending breakup of the band, which I managed to just about do, you know.
Oh wow! Well, it's a long and storied history of managing what some might call difficult bands. But the bands you've managed have been quite legendary. I mean, in your excellent autobiography, Creation Stories, you talked about the Libertines as being the most difficult of the bands. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that's. Yeah, a thankless task, I'm sure, but also one.
No, not thankless. I mean, we made them number one, and they sold 1 million records. It went really well, but you couldn't really manage Pete Doherty. I don't think it's within anybody to manage Pete. I think you maybe handle the madness, but I don't think you manage it, if you know what I'm saying. You know.
No, and this, of course, is.
And Carol, the other guy in the band, the other main guy in the band, he's mad as Pete. I mean, I'm very good friends with Carol. Actually, I see him quite a lot. So we're good. We all get on. I haven't seen Pete for years, but I see Carol quite a lot. And but Carol's just as crazy as Pete, man. You know.
But that's the combination that creates great bands. They were almost like brothers.
It is, man. You know, I mean, it's like I've always. I mean, now I manage the Mondays, and that's the Ryder brothers, and they don't get on either. You know, so it's about like that's just what it is. I think it's just families, you know.
Yeah. They bring that tension to it, which creates that spark. So let's talk a little bit about the Creation Day Festival, which is happening at the end of May next year. So
hopefully it'll happen, you know.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, things are starting to look up, so we've all got our fingers crossed for that.
I know.
But fingers crossed, not least because the lineup is amazing. When this was announced on our kind of on our Twitter groups and so on, we genuinely had people asking if this was one of those like fantasy festival things that people put together. How did they get all those bands on one bill? And the answer, of course, is Alan McGee.
It's not really me, mate. It's like I put my name to it. There's a guy called Kevin Fitzgerald. It's my agent for all my Q&As and my talks and all that sort of stuff. He's put it together. I mean, he used, I suppose, the Creation brand to help pull it together. But the real truth is, it's Kevin. Kevin's a force of nature. How Kevin came into my life was 2 years ago. I'd done a couple of Q&As and they'd sold out, and it looked like quite good business for somebody. And he phoned me up and said, "I'll do 50 of these for you." And I thought he was full of just a bluffer, basically. We'll be polite, right? And so I said, "Okay, go and book them." And then the bookings came in, and 52 Q&As later, absolutely got me last year. It was like, "All right, Kevin, you're part of the family. Let's do a festival." And he's ran with it, and he's made it happen. So you've got to give credit where credit's due.
Oh, very, very happy to do that, and Kevin's been a pleasure to deal with. It's got to be said.
Yeah.
So this is just the lineup. Loads of great bands from the 90s, but some really good new bands as well, particularly on your Creation 23 label. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, I've really had a good time in lockdown, just putting records out, and we've got a few that are really happening. I mean, Clockworks, who are now getting offered major record deals and publishing deals. But Cat SFX, this punky girl singer I've got, who's great. And we've got other people. Shambolics are playing a band that they sometimes puts records out on my label, Marquee Drive. So there's a lot of good new bands. Heavy Lungs is our friend and Idols. Joe Talbot got them on the bill. We're just I mean, with Creation 23, I'm enjoying it again. You know what I mean? And I'm 60, but I'm still putting out new bands' music, which probably is against the run of play, but it seems to be coming to me, so I should just do it,
Absolutely. I mean, I saw you say once that you sign people on the off chance that they'll make great records. Was that what you saw, say, in like Oasis back in King Tut's Wah Wah, back in the day? Did you think back then they had it in them to be the biggest band in the world?
No, of course I didn't. I just thought they were a good band. I'd signed loads of good bands up to that point. You know what I mean? Primal Scream at that point, I signed Oasis. Primal Scream were absolutely massive. It sold 3 million albums, but they were just, Primal Scream were my school friends. That's where I met them. It wasn't like that they sent me a demo tape. It was like I grew up with Bobby Gillespie. So that's how they ended up being signed to me, and then we developed it, and it became huge.
You actually moved down to London to be in a band with Andrew Innes, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. He's one of my oldest friends. They're both very, very, very close to them still. Both,
Yeah, it's incredible how these things work out.
Well, Creation back in the day, that was a school thing. I mean, the way that U2's a school thing, Creation's a school thing, and or Primal Scream's a school thing, however you want. But the Creation Primal Scream thing, we all went to the same school. We grew up with each other. We've all had punch-ups with each other. Do you know what I mean? The whole thing like that. We all do when you're young, you fall in, you fall out, all that nonsense. And we've all done that with each other, and we're still all mates.
Well, that's the most remarkable thing of all, really, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and actually, so many bands that came out of Scotland at the time that came through on Creation, or indeed like Fan Club came to Creation.
Yeah. I suppose what happened was that I broke the Mary chain, and then I broke Primal Scream, and then I suppose at that point people just thought, well, he's Scottish, he likes Scottish music. If I'm Scottish, I'm going to try and sign to McGee, and I kind of did sign the whole scene. In that late 80s scene, I got signed by me, and some of them got really big,
Yeah, and at the same time as well, because at the time that Bandwagon-esque was out as well, you had Ride, who were absolutely killing it. I mean, they were.
Yeah.
Now, I love the story around how you came to sign Ride. Do you want to just say a little bit about that?
Well, I just followed them around. They were like kids. They were like still at school, and and I think I heard about them via Warner Brothers, who were about to sign them, and I decided to poach them. So I just followed them around on tours for about 10 shows. And by the end of the 10 shows, they had given in and went, okay, we'll sign to you. I poached them, really, to be honest. I didn't really find them, you know.
Yeah. So they made the mistake of saying, here's a band we're about to sign.
Yeah.
And you thought, no, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the guy that told me that, Carly, he'll ever forgive me. But he's a nice guy, actually, you know. But, yeah, I suppose ultimately you don't show your bands to me, you know, if they're unsigned, because I'm probably going to take them off you. You know what I mean?
Now, Creation famously were an independent label, kind of very much sort of in the spirit of Factory Records. I always thought.
Yeah, financially we were totally Factory Records. So except we didn't go bankrupt because I'm Scottish and I'm quite good at the business as well. You know.
But one of the things I'm interested in, you saw the potential of the internet quite early on. So when you set up Pop Tones, am I right in thinking that was originally your idea was that would be selling music only over the internet?
Yeah, I wanted a download label. It was too early, my friend. It was like, because it was supposed what Apple iTunes became in about 2005, 6 or something like that. I was trying to do that in 2000, but it was too early. People hadn't really got their heads around downloadable music at that point. So I was a man at a time, you know.
Ahead of the game. But you've also talked about a little while ago. You said that the music business isn't the enemy anymore. Apathy is the enemy. Now, since then, the music business has changed a little bit with Spotify and things like that. Do you think that's still the case?
Yeah, I mean, it's different now. You know, I mean, it's like. I like the idea of Spotify. It's just I don't like the business model of Spotify because they don't, you know, the bands are not getting paid proper money. You know what I mean? And all the streaming services, it's a rigged game against little people. You know, even if you get your 10,000 or your 20,000 streams, you don't even get the money because the money's cut up on a market share basis, not on a user-centric basis. So your 10,000 streams that you streamed on your little band, that your money goes to the highest played people, Ed Sheeran and Kanye West. Nothing against them, do you know what I mean? But I'm just saying that's where your money's going. It's not going to the little bands, you know.
Yeah. And so even if you are an independent on there, it's not a model that's really
no,
work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. No,
yeah.
It doesn't.
Which is why bands depend now so much on live performances, getting out there and gigging, and of course 2020 has wiped all of that off the agenda. It must be a really tough time for bands at the moment.
Yeah, it's tougher than people know, you know, for a lot of the bands, you know, a lot of well-known bands are struggling with, you know. Luckily, what you just said 5 minutes ago, I think that the vaccine's going to kick in and hopefully it's going to change it, that we get back, and hopefully this festival will work. The good thing that Kevin's done with this festival is that we can socially distance this festival as well, because we're only going to sell initially up to 8,000 tickets. So if you know COVID's still in play in May, then we can do a socially distanced festival as well. So there's a good chance this festival will happen, you know.
Yeah. I think so. I'm talking to Kevin. That's absolutely what the plan is. And as the situation changes, if they're able to add more tickets to that, then they will. And my life, what a fantastic lineup to get back to live music with. Yeah. If that's your first gig after the drought, that would be amazing. Alan, this has been an absolute pleasure for me. Thank you so much for all of the fantastic music, and we've not even got on to some of the, just the amazing catalogue of bands that you've put together. You put Sugar's album out. You brought the Hives to the UK. These are like my favourite albums. But so the last thing I just want to say is a while ago John Robb said Alan McGee can start a riot in a paper bag. So your wild days of the 90s may be behind you, but are you still starting riots, Alan?
No, I'm 60, mate. Do you know what I mean? The only thing is there's a riot, and it's a riot in my underpants. Do you know what I mean? That's about as wild as it gets. Do you know what I mean?
Well, listen, Alan, thank you so much for joining us here on Phonic FM. The Creation Day Festival looks amazing. End of May in Wolverhampton. We will be there. Thank you so much.
Bye, mate. Thank you. Bye.